There was a national apology for slavery. It was called the Civil War, where 700,000 Americans died.
So that wasn't quite an apology. So how it really worked, Ben, was that all those people died because the South wouldn't apologize, wouldn't even end slavery, and said we'd rather die than treat black people as human beings. And so in the initial numbers where people thought about 620,000 people died in the Civil War, now the new updated ones, according to historians, are closer to 750,000. But about 260,000 were Confederate soldiers. They didn't apologize for anything. They said, I want to treat black people as my property so badly that I will go to war against America to do it. And a lot of Union soldiers died getting rid of slavery, and they're American heroes. And we love them for it, and we celebrate them. We don't celebrate the cowards that were committed treason and have statues all over the South. Those are our enemies. Those are people who betrayed this country and killed more Americans than in any other war. But we do celebrate the Union, but that doesn't mean that there was any apology ever given. So as usual, Ben Shapiro twisting any semblance of facts to try to say slavery, was it really a big deal? He of course does the clever thing of saying caveats. No, it was bad, really. But aren't we past it? We already apologized, didn't we? No, we didn't. Never.
So we're not past it, obviously, and it's very clear that nothing triggers the right wing more than simple, clear, transparent information about this country's history. Because really, in our history classes, we get a very watered down version of how America was founded and what the history of slavery really is, how Abraham Lincoln really felt about the slaves, what his political intentions really were in freeing the slaves. I mean, these are things that you don't learn about in history classes, and the right wing loves that, which is why they're so upset about the New York Times Magazine coming out with a podcast series titled 1619. Now, this project is all about raising awareness and educating people about this country's history. That's what it is, and he hates it. He's about to explain why in this next clip.
The attempt to paint America's history as irreversibly dark and immutably terrible continues apace at our nation's great editorial newspapers. Jonathan Capehart, writing for the Washington Post, has an entire piece called Dismantling the Myth of America and the White Men Who Founded It. You see, they were all evil and terrible and no good and very bad, and that means that America's founding was very bad. He says, most Americans are unaware of our nation's problematic origin and messy history, of how the dualism of high-minded principle and indescribable cruelty has defined us, as Senator Tim Kaine said at the same ceremony. Thanks to the 1619 Project at the New York Times, that is going to change. 1619, as folks are calling it, is a massive retelling of the American story with African Americans appropriately at its center. It is the kind of retelling that continues putting the calls for reparations in their proper context and makes the absence of a national apology all the more galling. So in other words, it backs Jonathan Capehart's agenda. There was a national apology for slavery. It was called the Civil War, where 700,000 Americans died. So that seems to have been kind of important in American history. I am completely unaware that race has not been studied in America. Like I am fine with more attention being put on slavery. I think Americans should know their history. But I'm pretty sure the media pays attention to a lot of this, and certainly history, our history departments pay a lot of attention to this on college campuses, as they should.
There's a lot to break down in that clip, but I do have to share my favorite tweet in response to what Ben Shapiro said there. And it said something along the lines of, somebody ought to tell Shapiro that his camera is not his laptop. He doesn't look up at the camera once, like it's kind of incredible. But anyway, go ahead.
I don't know if he wrote out the whole show, and that's why he's got to look down the whole time. But look, on to the important stuff. Before I was laughing because it's so silly, this ridiculous argument. But now I'm kind of mad about it because he says 700,000. A little less than half, as I told you, are Confederate soldiers. They murdered, in one of the battles, they capture black Union soldiers, because about 10% of the Union soldiers were African American, okay? And the great Robert E. Lee, that they always say is such a gentleman, looked the other way as they murdered every black soldier, because they wanted to send a message to the North and to the black community You better not fight against us. How dare you? If a white man picks up a weapon against us, we can live with it. A black man picking up a weapon, because that would show that they're human and they could do strategy and they could do warfare, etc. And it defeats their whole point of white supremacy. And if you don't get it, read their declaration. The vice president of the Confederacy said, "We are doing this to show that the white race is superior." He said it. You can go read it. I mean, this absurd, insane debate that the right wing has started as if the Civil War wasn't about slavery.
Right.
It's just insanity. Why would you even say that? Look, and the second part of it is, Shapiro says, oh, they hate America and they think everything about it is bad. Nobody actually said that. That's their caricature of the left. You know why we have the American flag in the background? Because I love America. We love America. But we love the things about it that is equality for all. They're like, oh, God damn it, equality. We don't want equality for all. That's annoying. Now we're gonna give black people and gay people the same rights. Shapiro's against that. And I mean, one of my favorite moments is when he goes on Rubin's show and Dave Rubin says, well, I mean, you'd bake me a cake, wouldn't you? And he's like, no. Because he doesn't like you. When are you gonna get that through your head? He doesn't want you to be equal because he doesn't believe in American principles of equality, freedom. You think, oh, they use that as propaganda.
They do.
Are you in favor of women's right to choose their freedom to do whatever they want with their body? No. Are you in favor of freedom to smoke anything you want? No. Are you in favor of even the freedom to in any sexual activity, whether you're going to love as someone of your own gender or even porn? Ben Shapiro goes, no, I don't want you to have that freedom. I want you to follow my religion and the Orthodox view of it. Well, Ben, you hate America. So be honest with your audience. America is a secular country. Have you ever read the First Amendment? We shall not establish a religion and we shall have free exercise of religion. So what that means is we are not a theocracy. The reason we fly the flag is because we believe in those American principles. And yes, we've had bad moments, to say the least. And if you cover those up and you say, oh, okay, slavery. Oh, what's the big deal? Oh, we already studied. Don't talk about slavery. Oh, here comes the New York Times talking about slavery. Why do you care? Why do you mind? Why is it personal to you? Like, are you feeling guilt over it?
It's really weird. You're right. Because there's this. You only see this reaction from the right. I mean, as soon as this project was announced, Newt Gingrich was, all worked up about it on Twitter, and then he went and gave some interviews about how ridiculous it is. But I want to go back to what Ben Shapiro claims about individuals who just want to educate about this country's history and how he thinks that they hate America. Understand what he's doing there. That is his way of shutting down speech. Right? Accusing people who want to shed light on the reality of disenfranchised groups, on the reality of this country's history, on the reality of slavery in America. He wants to shut that speech down. The only time the right wing cares about protecting speech, the only time they care about the First Amendment is when their speech dollars are on the line in college campuses. That's the only time they care. If it's speech that they disagree with, they will find clever ways to smear people and intimidate people from sharing their point of view and even just sharing facts about this country. Now, I will say one other thing. I started listening to it. So they're releasing episodes bit by bit, and it's excellent. It's so good. And I'm saying that as someone who really knew this country's history and knew the details of how slavery started in America. But no, we're all so ignorant about so many different components. I mean, look, Lincoln, yes, he was the abolitionist. He was the one who wanted to end slavery for political purposes. When you hear about the way he referred to black people, the slaves themselves, and how he planned on taking them out of the country, even the people who were born here, he wanted them out. He's like, no, we can't. I mean, we can't like live among them as equals. I don't think most people in America know that. And those are the facts that the right wing doesn't want anyone to know about. They want to keep people ignorant about it. Now, does that mean you hate America? No. It means, look, the whole purpose of learning history is so you don't repeat the same mistakes. Right? And they will argue, no, you shouldn't censor people who want to teach about what Hitler did because you want to. I remember Jordan Peterson making that point on one of Joe Rogan's podcasts. No, you shouldn't try to censor that speech because that helps us prevent this type of movement in the future. No, you guys don't actually want to learn things from history. You want to pick and choose things that suit your narrative and your agenda, but they do not care about educating people about the reality of this country.
So I said earlier that we've had bad moments in America. I mean, boy, is that understating it. So slavery, the genocide of the Native American people, the fact that women couldn't vote, didn't have rights, gay people, I can go on and on and on. But do you point those out to go, ha ha? No, you point those out so that we can fix them, so that we can actually live up to American principles. Now, if you say you don't want to live up to those principles, well, then you wouldn't want to talk about the problems because you don't really want to fix them. See, if you loved something and you cared about it, you would want to make it better. But the reality is they want to put all those things away and never ever talk about them because they view it as, and this is the most damning part, as something that they feel and think, and so they don't want people blaming them for it. If you're a person who doesn't feel any animosity towards black people or any other races, why would you care if we learn more about slavery? Why would that be a thing that bothers you? It literally makes no sense to me. It's since I don't get it and I don't feel guilty about any of those things, I'm like, why do you care if we talk about what happened to the Native Americans or African Americans? Why wouldn't you be in favor of more speech? Because they take it personally.
Yep.
And that's very telling of who they are. Look, one thing I want to add to this real quick is that he's actually originally triggered by a poll where young people are saying that they don't value patriotism as much because patriotism is just a label. Principles are what's real, right? So if you ask young people, do you care about equality for all, an American principle? They would say yes. Do you care about freedom? Yes. But if you say, hey, I'm gonna be a patriot, and it doesn't matter why, then they say, well, that doesn't make sense. And the thing that really triggered Ben was young people now, only a third of them think being religious is an important value. And he's Orthodox, so he's like, no, you must be religious. No, I don't. It's called freedom, look into it. Another part of the poll, they said having kids is no longer an important value for young people. So what?
Well, most young people can't afford it, let's keep it real.
But why does, I love my kids. Why do I want other people to have kids and demand it of them? That's so weird. I don't want that at all. I want you to have freedom, but they don't actually believe any of those things. Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.